Welcome to my second home. Come here. This is Anastasia and I'm Niko Stefanov. But before we start to talk where I'm now, let's have a short trip back in time. I was born 28 years ago in Bulgaria. And I first drove a car with my dad's dad, so my granddad, Lada. He introduced me how you can drive a car, and I fell in love in that. I was around 11 years old. But I was around cars almost all my life because of my dad's garage. But to racing introduced me a guy who brought his race car one day to our garage. And I was able to see a real race car in person. And also to jump in it and touch the steering wheel. This was the moment where I knew I want to know everything about racing, race cars, the races, and especially the race drivers, because they look at me like superheroes back then. But after that, it didn't take me that much to understand that to have our own race car is a really expensive thing. And I immediately started to save everything I had in order to be able one day to buy my race car. But in the meanwhile, I was introduced to radio control cars and I started racing with them, because that was the only way I was able to race with something which has 4 wheels. That happened when I was 14 years old, and I did it for about 2 or 3 years. Then after that, one day my dad came up and brought a off-road buggy at home. What happened then, I drove this buggy every single day after school and even before school. And some days I just skipped school just to driving it. And at some point I was able to slide it around the dusty roads around my hometown. But then the time came that I was able to have my driving license, and 2 months before I got it, I managed to buy my first car. It was a Peugeot 206, and it was the closest thing to a race car for me. I started then driving it every single day, every day, and especially every night. I went out when outside was raining and snowing to practice sliding it around the corners in my hometown and using the handbrake. Then I graduated my high school and started to search for universities. After a while ago, I found out that there is a university in Vienna that the guys are designing, building and racing with a small Formula car. So then I did a promise to myself. I said, I will go there and drive this small race car. Nevertheless, I wasn't able to speak German at that time, but it doesn't matter to me back then. I took the decision to go study abroad. In 2013, I entered my studies, which were in electrical engineering, and also entered the Formula student team. I was involved in designing, making the prototype of a car called Tankia in 2013, and I was one of the 4 guys which were able to drive the car. We drove in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and in Italy. After that, I wasn't satisfied because I wanted my own car. But as you can imagine, I was studying and needed money. So I started working in 2 different places in order to earn more money and finally then to buy a car. In 2015, I found a Nissan S13 near to my hometown. I bought it and entered the street legal class in the Austrian Drift Challenge. I finished third in that race and ended up as a runner-up at the season 2015. I just fell in love with these Japanese cars, and I was amazed how all the Japanese guys are driving, their driving style and how they are sliding the cars. So then, at that time, I met a guy here in Austria who also was driving a Nissan, and we made our own Japanese drift team in Austria called Nanashi Drift Dudes. But nevertheless, this S13 was still a street legal car. But my burning desire didn't stop pushing me to have a real race car. So I ended up selling my S13 and I bought this gorgeous S14 and I gave her the name Anastasia. I have really great time with her on the racetrack. I have a lot of, as you can see, here and there we have some damages, but it happens when we are trying to learn and push the limits. So let's have a look around the car itself. For the motor, we still have his original 4-cylinder SR20 engine, and the special thing here is that we are running a water-cooled intercooler system, and we designed this because we wanted to eliminate the turbo lag and have really short pipes between the turbo and the manifold. For the turbo, we are running a Borg-Warner 63 series, and we are producing roughly around 305 horsepower on the wheels. So let's take a look of the suspension. We have angle kits from different suppliers. So we use Japan Speed rods, and the knuckles are from Driftworks. And what I'm really proud of are the dampers, which are from KW competition series. We are also running a really stiff sway bar at the front, and on the back of the car we again use Jap Speed components. And the reason why I want to take part in Road to Drift is to meet these real professional drivers in person, to see their crazy race cars and hang out with them, learn from them, and especially to meet Tseregratsev in person, just to touch him, to interact with him, hang out and speak about race cars, about race setups, about the engine setup, suspension, everything, actually everything which is related to the race cars, and to be able to learn from him and to enjoy the time with him and take all of this knowledge and one day to become actually a superhero for another small boys like these guys were for me back then. Uvidíme si Rossi. Ciao ciao and bye bye.
Hallo Leute, was machen wir heute? Ja, ich bin jetzt wieder auf der Rennstrecke. Heute gibt es wieder Driften. Es wird super interessant. Also ich bin mit Drift-Gaudi wieder hier. Wir werden einige Interviews machen und uns natürlich auch die Autos dementsprechend anschauen. Jetzt starten wir durch.
Herzlich willkommen hier in der Green Door Garage.
dir das Video gefallen, gib mir doch gern deinen Daumen nach oben, abonniere den Kanal und bis dann.